Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Guys, this is a very important video to make because people are being led to believe the wrong things when it comes to this lengthy accelerate thing, okay? Guys, the lengthy accelerate thing is definitely a very nice thing to have in the game, definitely a huge plus, but you don't have to give it to every single player, okay? The reason why I'm making this video is because I just tried out this Rafael Leão card, okay? I tried him out, and if you go to Footbin, and we're going to talk about this, okay? If you go to Footbin, you can see that he is a controlled player. If you give him the Architect chemistry style, it changes him to a lengthy, okay? So if you don't give him the Architect chemistry style from Footbin, right? From Footbin as of right now, he is not going to get lengthy. He only gets it on the Architect chemistry style. Here's the thing though, and I mentioned this in the player review in the comment section, right? I mentioned it to people. I'm like, guys, he doesn't feel that special on an Architect chemistry style. In my opinion, I would rather just give him the finisher chemistry style. But guess what, guys? Apparently, EA's pitch notes for the English version of the game is wrong. So in a way, I was actually proud of myself because I was trying the card out in game and I was like, it's an attacker that's tall, has a certain body type. A lengthy should work out great for him, right? But I didn't notice it. I was like, I just feel like I'm hindering the card by giving him an Architect to boost passing and physical when I don't care to boost those things for this card. Like, I care to give him that dribbling and shooting boost. Maybe even because of the fact that he's already a physical oriented player, maybe just a Hawk chemistry style as well, right? To be able to utilize the shooting traits that he has, technical dribbler, all this kind of stuff, right? And you just notice these things, right? So you can see that a lot of people are giving him the Architect chemistry style. The reason why he's extinct right now is because people think that he is a lengthy player with this with that accelerates, right? Because obviously over here, if you give him the Architect that says lengthy, here's the thing though, guys, right? If you go to the pitch notes and you look at the lengthy accelerate, it says that the strength minus the agility has to be greater than or equal to 14, right? Greater than or equal to 14. So you go here and you put the Architect chemistry style. So again, strength in this case 98, right? The agility in this case 84. What's the difference between both of the stats? 14, correct? Okay, so from the English version of lengthy, he's technically supposed to be a lengthy player. Apparently in game he's not. So again, I was very proud of myself because I was like, this card doesn't feel that special on a lengthy. Like, I'd rather just give him a finisher and just keep him as a controlled player. But then people were saying like, yo, he's not a lengthy player. So I was like, okay, good. You can actually feel that kind of stuff in game. So I go to Twitter, right? And I literally tweeted out saying Rafael Leão didn't feel crazy special in my opinion, trying to give him the lengthy. I prefer to just give him a dribbling and shooting boost, to be fair. I guess it just depends on some cards, or maybe it's just me, right? And then lengthy, in my honest opinion, guys, only works for certain individual cards. Like for Holland's base lengthy, a Hunter suits him perfectly. Same with Palinha, because both a card like Leão, giving him something that improves his shooting just makes more sense in my opinion. It'll depend on the cards. So the reason why I tweeted this because that's just what I felt when I was using the card in game, right? So if you actually take a look and see here, this guy, he says, hey, you can't get Leão in form on lengthy. It's impossible. Just check in game. What Footbin says is wrong. You need 15 difference, right? And then Kembembro said you need 14 difference based off of the pitch notes. But here's the thing, right? If you go through these replies, right? Kembembro is showing the English version of the pitch notes, right? And then it's somewhere here. So Footbin would love to see test. I'm going to test it tomorrow too. I seen it. Where did I see it? Here? Lengthy, he's a strength not 14. He doesn't get lengthy. Explosive. It's this one right here. I think it's this one right here. There it is. The German pitch notes are correct. Look at what it says, right? It's 15 here. So over here, 65, 55, 14. Over here is 15. Okay, so it's, I don't know, something's wrong. The pitch notes I think has to be wrong because he's just not. He's not a lengthy body type. So it was really good that this happened because as I was trying out the card, I'm like, he doesn't feel that crazy special. So I would just give him a finisher anyways. Now here's the thing, guys, okay? Here's the thing. Some cards maybe you'll be able to give them a lengthy, but it depends on which card it is, because not all of them are going to make sense to give a lengthy to. Lengthy is very, very effective this year for certain types of cards. Let me give you guys an example. Who were the cards that people were freaking out about in the beginning of the year? Like, why is this card significantly better than I thought he was? What was one of the cards, guys? It was Casemiro, right? People were facing Casemiro and they're like, why is this card so good? Guys, lengthy, base, accelerate, right? Lengthy, base, accelerate. And with this card on stay back while attacking, he'll have 68 pace, 74 sprint speed. So with the lengthy accelerates, guys, from the description, it says this: taller and stronger. These players need a bit more time to get going, but are able to catch up to anyone and even surpass them, provided they have enough distance. These players start slower, but will thrive over long distances. That is perfectly fine to work with in the midfield positions, because when it comes to the chase after, yeah, initial acceleration you'll notice being maybe a little bit slower, but the chase after afterwards will be amazing. Another very good example of this for a card that is incredibly underrated is this Palinha card, right? Because Palinha has 67 acceleration, 68 sprint speed, base lengthy. You give this card a shadow chemistry style. If you guys actually tried out this card in game using him as a stay back while attacking midfielder, he is actually pretty solid to use, right? Which makes me very happy because I can actually use Portuguese players, right? But 75 acceleration, 76 sprint speed, guess what is better than his acceleration and sprint speed at 68, 74, right? But the difference, and there's always multiple variables to consider with these cards, okay? You have to look at this. It's very important. He also has a unique body type. Palinha doesn't have a unique body type. So for this year's game, you genuinely need to try out cards in game because they make a bigger difference than you think, okay? But for these cards, it still makes sense to give them a shadow because you want to improve pace, you want to improve defending, but guess what? His physical is already in the 90s. Okay, so this card, when I was using it, I was like, dude, this card is incredible on a lengthy chemistry style or a lengthy accelerate. Guys, who's the other perfect example of the accelerate really working for a card? Now, this card right here, Erling Haaland, already is a lengthy. He already dribbles a certain way, but dribbling mechanics work differently this year, right? So if you like this type of striker that is going to provide those crazy through balls, those crazy L1, R1 lob passes for that first time chest and out-muscle somebody, right? This is going to be an ideal card because listen, in this card or on this card right here, you can give him a hunter chemistry style and he'll have crazy pace at a high medium work rate, incredible shooting capabilities with good physical, but guess what? You can give him a hawk chemistry style and he's still a lengthy player. Because guys, when your strikers are making those runs, right? When your strikers are making those runs, again, it's like they said, it starts off slow, but it goes crazy afterwards. It's perfect for this type of card because he kind of has this build up. When you're building up from the back going forward, he kind of comes close and then makes those darting runs forward like crazy, right? So that's why the lengthy works out perfectly for him. Listen, you already know this card's a beast because I was using him on an engine for the player review and he was still beasting for me. So it didn't feel like I needed the lengthy, but it's a plus to have for a card like this. Another very good example is Thiago Silva, right? So Thiago Silva, a lot of the center backs you'll encounter, they will have the lengthy accelerate when you give them certain things, right? So with Thiago Silva, guys, right? If I were to give him an anchor chemistry style, he turns into lengthy. If I were to give him a shadow chemistry style, he is now controlled. Guys, the lengthy accelerate for these cards, for a card like Thiago Silva at the price range that he's at for 163k, if you are looking at it from transfer market value, it doesn't make sense for you to get, right? Why doesn't it make sense? Because if you're going for a Premier League center back, right? Like Koulibaly, who has base lengthy, who has really good pace stats, right? Really good pace stats, unique body type, right? Default lengthy on a shadow, he's gonna be nuts. Another card that's nuts, right, is this Varane card, right? Look at his pace splits between his card with the acceleration and sprint speed at a unique body type, 4-star weak foot, base, lengthy, accelerate, okay? So don't get me wrong, I tweeted this out like I think a week ago where I'm saying like most of the cards, right, and I might be able to actually find it here, where I actually tweeted this out telling you guys, attacking AI, we have divide, very cautious. Oh, here it is, right? By the way, guys, you don't have to make sure that every player you use is lengthy. For physical type strikers, it's definitely very nice, and some mids as well for sure, but there would be zero issue with giving someone like Valverde a shadow without getting the lengthy accelerate. It wouldn't, because look, man, let me show you guys something, okay? So Valverde, depending on the play style that you're going with, the formation that you're going, the tactics that you're going with, right? If you were to give this card a shadow chemistry style, he would get really good pace stats and really good defensive capabilities. Here's the thing though, right? He's a midfielder that has incredible base card stats for pace, right? So when you're defending with a card like this that has good defensive capabilities, that has the height, that has the unique body type, if you can give him a lengthy accelerate, it wouldn't be terrible to give him. Like, it would be great for a card like this, right? Another card that we can do an example for, right, is the Renato Sanchez card. So Renato Sanchez is a controlled player. Giving him a shadow chemistry style drastically improves his defensive capabilities. But again, you can make him into a lengthy player by giving him something like the architect chemistry style, which yet again wouldn't be completely horrible for this card because his base card stats for pace for the meta of this game is in a decent area. But you will still notice the defensive stats being on the lower side from time to time. The reason why I say time to time is because Renato Sanchez in game has the hidden FIFA trait of just beauty. Like he has the FIFA trait of beauty. That's what he has. It's the hair trait or something, right? He performs significantly better in game than what you would expect, right? But if you don't give him this stuff, right? You could still give him a shadow and it would be perfectly fine too, depending on what you want your player to do, okay? So there's no right or wrong. Another very good example of this, right, is Eder Militão. So let's take a look at Eder Militão's card, right? Look at his base card stats for pace. Look at where his base accelerate is at controlled, right? Okay, if you were to give this card a shadow chemistry style, he does not change into a lengthy accelerate. However, if you give him an anchor chemistry style, he does change into a lengthy accelerate. But guys, look at how insane this card looks on an anchor chemistry style. It's high 80s, low 90s for physical. His defense is in a fantastic area, and then his pace is in a brilliant area for a card that is 6'1" with a lean body type. So we're talking about someone that will be able to transition quickly, be able to outmuscle someone sometimes, because obviously having that crazy unique body type for the outmuscling is wild, right? But this is yet again another card worth using the anchor chemistry style to, because having the pace, having the defensive capabilities, all this kind of stuff is very important. You would not be wrong to give this Thiago Silva card a shadow chemistry style because you want the extra pace. You wouldn't be wrong if you did that, especially with base card stats for physical being in a pretty decent area. You would not be wrong to do this, right? But you could give him an anchor, decent pace, good defense, good physical. It's possible. But for the price range, transfer market wise, not you putting SBCs into, Koulibaly and Varane, they're better players because they have higher pace. You can give them a shadow and they have really good base physical, right? Other cards that I haven't tried out yet. Let's take a look at Karim Benzema's card because people really like Benzema's card, right? So Benzema by default is a controlled player, right? Controlled player on Benzema. You could see that if I were to go here, people are giving him the architect chemistry style. Some people are giving him the engine chemistry style. Architect will change him into a lengthy player, right? So if this changes him to a lengthy player, guys, this would yet again not be a horrible choice. And I'm going to explain to you why, okay? So you don't notice pace that much this year, okay? You don't. In certain cases, you will, especially you'll notice it more for players like Holland, right? Because obviously lengthy by default with a hunter or on a hawk looks crazy, right? So he'll make those runs. But the lengthy accelerate will force really good animations out of a card like Benzema to make those runs forward for a card that already has really good base shooting capabilities, for a card who has the outside foot shot trait and the finesse shot trait. So he's being well compensated if you were to give him the architect chemistry style, but you don't have to give him the lengthy AcceleRATE, because this card would still be great on an engine chemistry style, boosting his passing, boosting a little bit of his pace, the dribbling. You wouldn't be wrong to do that on this card. It's not as obvious, okay? So it's very important for me to make this video because I know that the old gen people are like, oh, I'm missing out on this and that. Ronaldo and Holland are still incredible on the old gen version of the game. You don't have to think about this. Like, it's not that complicated. Oh, I can't watch this because it has AcceleRATE in it. No, you can, because these players still perform well on both consoles, okay? The only difference is that the dribbling is a little bit more rough and there's more responsiveness for the old gen, right? But that's it. The players are still going to be sick, okay? Because Ronaldo I gave a hunter to on the old gen version of the game, and it was perfectly fine. He was still a monster in game, right? Because the dribbling, it works differently now, right? Because the dribbling works differently. Dribbling is still responsive on the old gen, right? So it's like you could still give him a hunter and it's fine, right? So you wouldn't be wrong to do this, okay? So it's very important for me to make this video because I saw a comment from one of Gorilla's videos, and it wasn't him, okay? It was just me watching some FIFA videos, right? So like I was watching like, oh, which players does he like the most, blah, 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 because obviously he's fantastic at the game, right? So I was just looking at videos, and the guy deleted his comments. You know what he said? He literally said that, or it was either him or Gorilla deleted because of just false information, really. He's like, oh, the reason why players like Dembele and Rafinha are underpowered is because they're not a lengthy AcceleRATE. And I'm like, this is wrong. Because guys, listen, okay? You're gonna tell me that this bad boy right here, not having the lengthy AcceleRATE, is bad? No, bro, the explosive is also sick. The explosive is also good, guys. And it works perfectly for these cards. Like I said, it depends on the card that you're checking out, reviewing, whatever. Because if you give him the hunter, imagine this card is already look, explosive. These are shorter and more agile players who are able to quickly cover short distances and get ahead of their opponents, even if that means slowing down after the initial burst of acceleration. That's perfect for me. I need that playstyle for my strikers who also have good attacking AI, right? So it's all gonna be depending on the playstyle that people have. Because dude, literally, you can use this guy this year, bro. Look, let me show you guys something, man. You see this guy right here? You see Harry Kane? You can use this card this year. He's actually usable. But look, he's base lengthy. Base. Let's see what happens if I give him an engine. He's controlled now. What happens if I give him a hawk? He's lengthy. He's lengthy. Sure, you won't be able to get a through ball with him, but he still has incredible shooting. Physical's crazy, which in this game is wild, right? But this card could actually win the ball in the air too. Hey, you want to just cross the ball, do that kind of meta as well? You could technically give him, what would it be, Sniper? I think Sniper would give it to him. Yeah, look at Sniper, bro. Look at Sniper, guys. He's still lengthy on Sniper. That's why this card, he costs because of the, like, obviously 89 rating and stuff, but this card actually performs well in game. So it really just depends on the card that you're using. For a card like this is where the difference between old and new is probably gonna be a little bit more relevant. An old gen, I could see this card being a little bit more rough. For a card like this, okay? For a card like this, probably, okay? But yeah, you know, Ben Yedder, explosive, absolutely incredible. Correa, also explosive, right? Also explosive. Hunter chemistry style, also incredible, right? So every card has their own thing to them, right? You just have to have an understanding of what makes more sense for you and for the card, okay? Because some of them you kind of gotta give a lengthy to because they're sick, okay? Another very good example is the Tomori card, right? So if you see Tomori from base stuff, he's a controlled player. If you were to give him a shadow chemistry style, he still remains to be a controlled player. I'm gonna show you guys a clip, okay, of the lengthy body type from, this is a homie called Nobots in one of the discords, right? But I wanna show you guys the pace that he has with a lengthy AcceleRATE and a controlled AcceleRATE, but this is on an architect, not an anchor, okay? So take a look at the run that the card does, right? So very similar run. right? Halfway point, 18-yard box, right? So the shadow chemistry style, right, for a card like this uncontrolled doesn't make that much sense, because imagine being able to give this card an anchor chemistry style, right, boost the pace slightly more, giving him extra aggression, strength, jumping, and defensive stats, and then turning him into a lengthy body type. Because guys, the difference between an architect and a shadow is a +8 in acceleration and sprint speed, okay? A +8, but from what you see there, it's a very similar type of run for the most part. Obviously, there's multiple variables that make players make certain runs in one-off for sure, but generally speaking, it's a very similar run. So giving him that extra bit of pace, defending, and physicality is going to make sense for a card like Tamori, right? You have to look at these types of things. The last example is this card here, right? Again, if you were to go to the direction of giving him a hunter chemistry style, wouldn't be horrible. Giving him perfect shooting is amazing. But guys, his pace, right, in that area is fine because of the AcceleRATE of lengthy making him do those runs, okay? So for a card like this, you could see that people are changing it. They're giving him an architect because guess what? He already has base card stats for shooting. His dribbling is already going to be the way that it is because of the way the dribbling mechanics work this year, right? So the AcceleRATE being changed to a lengthy for a card like this would also make sense. Could you give him a hunter on the PlayStation version if you don't have the AcceleRATE, and will he still be beast? Yes. The review that we did for him was on the old gen. The one review we did for him was on the old gen, and he's sick on a hunter. So the AcceleRATE, guys, is only for like again, for a card like Holland, you're still gonna give him a hawk on the old gen, and he's still gonna be a beast. But obviously, AcceleRATE will add this little bit of a thing to them, right? So I just want to point that out. Okay, it's very important. People are giving a lot of misinformation, like, oh, a card is not good because he's explosive. No, that's incorrect. Okay, again, I would say, like I said in this tweet, look, it does make a very nice difference on most of the cards. I will say it's just not 100%. Make sure you do necessary all the time. Okay, and this was October 3rd, so 2 days ago, almost 3 days ago. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. Okay, when it comes to the differences, if your cards are controlled, it doesn't mean they're horrible. Okay, Rashford is not a bad card in this game, and he can only be on controlled. Look at Rashford. I do prefer different type of strikers because I'm an attacking AI merchant, but the 5-star skills on this card is incredible to work with, right? Especially on a finisher, because look, his finishing is super high up there. It's well compensated for his 3-star weak foot, right? But you go to an architect, you can't give him lengthy. He's still good. He's still good, guys. Okay? Priced up there. I'm not gonna say he's not priced up there, but at least they changed the work rates and stuff, right? But he's still good. Okay, so it's not 100% always super necessary. Very important video to make, guys. So yeah, I like this mechanic because it makes certain players that probably wouldn't be usable in the beginning of the year more usable, like Ruben Diaz, you know, on a shadow chemistry style because of the base lengthy. Like this pace, it is low, right? Obviously, Koulibaly, Varane will still be cards that'll be better because of the fact that they have higher pace with lengthy and they have the physical stuff and all that kind of stuff. But if you guys have ever come across this card in game, he still defends really, really well, right? Obviously, with pace for meta, you want it to be higher. But if I want to rock with a Portuguese team, I could totally do this, right? And it changes so much in this game because even a card like Ricardo Carvalho, right? Even just the Liga NOS version of this card is a controlled player. If I were to give him a shadow or an anchor, he doesn't change. But look at the Tamori card with a +8 pace difference. That's very similar because with Ricardo Carvalho, guys, you already have pretty decent base card stats for defending. So technically speaking, you can give him an architect and he'll still be usable in the game because the lengthy AcceleRATE change will make him faster anyways over the long run, right? Is he going to be like crazy full meta? No, it's obviously still going to be better to use like a Koulibaly or Varane. Those guys are going to be incredible because they have pace with lengthy while already working with physical stats. But a card like this will be usable, you know what I'm saying? So it's a cool variable to work with in the game. Absolutely, like 100%. And to be fair, you could totally use this card on the old gen version of the game on a shadow chemistry style, and he would still be pretty nice to use as well because of the way that the mechanics work this year, right? So yeah, it was just a very important video to make. I personally like the inclusion of the AcceleRATE. Do I feel like there's going to be like a small adjustment? Maybe, but I do like the variable of making cards more usable. Like when there's a promo coming out, you know how sometimes there's certain cards that are like, this card is fodder? I think it's gonna be different this year. I think that like a very large majority of the people that they give you in that promo is actually gonna be usable. Now, again, I will always consistently say this every single year. I do feel like you still need a tournament mode in your game, okay? Because when you play Division Rivals, your main focus is to only get full meta players. But in a situation like myself, if I wanted to get Ricardo Carvalho on my Portuguese team and do like a tournament run with him, he would still be decent enough to use. But obviously, if I'm playing Division Rivals, I gotta use full meta, right? So having the balance of being able to switch between the two would be perfect in a game like FIFA, which they have yet to do. But, and I always talk about this because I hate it, okay? But the fact that I can use this Ricardo Carvalho card on a lengthy and he would still be beast because I'm boosting his physical with already good defense, low high work rates, right? So I wouldn't have to focus too much about the chase after, right? It's great. It's really, really good. So you can see that even people at the bottom here, they're giving him an architect for the most part because of the fact that it changes his AcceleRATE to play that certain playstyle. So just like from the Tamori clip, like I mentioned to you guys, this is without an anchor chemistry style, right? And the run is very similar for a +8 in acceleration and a +8 for sprint speed, right? Look at the difference between the two. It's not crazy noticeable for a +8 difference, right? However, Architect doesn't make sense for this card. Giving him an anchor does because you want to boost the defense, because defense is the most important thing with a defender, okay? So if you can make it as perfect as possible, that would be ideal, depending on the situation of the AcceleRATE on the card, okay? So guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today. I think it was a very important video to make because it was so funny, man, because like I said, I tried out the Rafael Leão. Apparently it's not possible to even change him to a lengthy, but it was so noticeable in game, right? So it's just one of those situations where honestly, even if he could change into a lengthy, I would probably still boost his dribbling and shooting, especially since I want to, because his shooting is in the low 80s area for a card like that, right? Haaland and Ronaldo are different because they have really good base card stats for shooting, great animation choices. So you have to take this into consideration with every card. Moving forward with the player reviews, we will be talking about AcceleRATE, but we'll also be talking about how it's going to work on the old gen as well, okay? Because it's very important to mention that because obviously old gen don't work with AcceleRATE, whereas the new gen does. But I'll just tell you guys, because listen, man, Ronaldo, sure, on the new gen version of the game, you're going to probably give him an architect so that he has that lengthy thing, so that you don't have to boost his pace, and his base card stats for shooting is already really good. But for the old gen, it would probably make more sense to give him the Hunter, and it would be kind of like a similar performance. You guys saw the review. Ronaldo was still a beast. I just have to mention to you guys what would make the most sense to kind of, for them to kind of be the same for the most part. You probably won't be able to get that for someone like Harry Kane on the old gen version of the game, but the dribbling is different. Like Ronaldo didn't, like I could feel Ronaldo wanting an engine, but not needing an engine. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So just one of those types of situations, because the old gen is literally about the pace of the game and the responsiveness. That's like the two main things. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video today. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.